On the Hawkeyes Sports Network from Learfield, this is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy, proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Big Ten Conference. Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle. Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and Iowa Corn Promotion Board. You may think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Shields, we're right there with you in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, and Cedar Falls. University of Iowa Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
In 2021, researcher and writer Robert Lattenville penned an article for athleticdirectoru.com centering on college athletic administrators' longevity. The country was emerging from the pandemic that year, and schools were bleeding cash. At the Power 5 level, the average length of stay for ADs was far short of the 17 years Iowa's Gary Barta put in before recently announcing his retirement, effective August 1st. Tightening budgets make fundraising all the more important. Facility upgrades, firing and hiring coaches, conference realignment, reworking television contracts, NIL and transfer portal, all factor into the daily agenda of athletic directors from coast to coast. In an average year, 30 to 40 vacancy signs go up on campuses. Now that number has nearly doubled. Call it AD burnout. Gary Barta has a candid conversation on this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. When we come back after a pause to hear from sponsors UIHC, Iowa Corn, Shields, and Athletico.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
After a cancer diagnosis, it's natural to want to start treatment right away. But first, get a second opinion from a team that specializes in your cancer. I'm Dr. George Weiner, Director of University of Iowa Holden Comprehensive Cancer Center. Before you start treatment, you deserve to be confident you have the right diagnosis and know every option available to you. So whether it's with us or somewhere else, get a second opinion. It can change your care and your life.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark Wahlberg, and I have some exciting news to share. At Wahlburgers, we are all about bringing the family together to enjoy a great meal and have a great time. That's why right now, for a limited time, kids eat free every day at all Hy-Vee Wahlburger locations. Kids 12 and under can enjoy one free kids meal with any purchase of an adult burger, sandwich, or entree salad.
Bring the family to Wahlburgers and the Wahlburgers and Hy-Vee stores, where right now kids can eat free.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Up until a month ago, Gary Barta, Kirk Ferentz, Lisa Bluter, and Fran McCaffrey was the second longest tenured group of athletic director, football, and basketball coaches in all of college athletics, having served 1 year less than Notre Dame's AD, Jack Swarbrick, football coach Brian Kelly, and basketball coaches Mike Bray and Muffet McGraw. All those have left South Bend for other jobs or retirement. Gary Barta has enjoyed many successes over his 17 years at Iowa. Barta also served on and chaired the College Football Playoff Committee. A former AD of the year is now stepping down at age 59, which to me means he'll resurface in some capacity after a period away, hooking big fish in Canada, working on his golf game, and enjoying his family more. There's plenty left for Gary Barta to fulfill and produce.
I don't have anything lined up at this point, but I would, I care so much about college athletics and the change that's happening there, and certainly care about the Big Ten, and obviously care deeply about Iowa. So just finding some role where it's not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but finding some role where I can try to help in whatever way I can to take my 38 years and try to help out, whether it's name, image, and likeness and transfer portal, or it's, the Big Ten brand new commissioner, and he's off to a great start. Wherever else this college athletic thing is going to go, if I can find a way to plug in and add value, that would be on my list.
So if the new NCAA president or Big Ten commissioner called you in a couple months and say, hey, Gary, with that expertise and experience, we need you in Chicago or Washington, that'd be a heck of a schedule for you, but I think that'd be a good fit if you've got the energy.
Well, I have the energy. Here would be my criteria. Happy to help in whatever way I can, as long as my home base can be Iowa City. Connie and I love Iowa City. We raised our kids here. We've been here 17 years. And so we have really strong, deep relationships with several families and couples. So whatever I do, I won't say never, but I'd prefer I could be based here and then travel to wherever it is that I might be able to get involved.
On Gary Barta's watch, there were 4 national championships, 27 Big Ten team titles, including 11 in the last couple years, close to 500 All-America honorees, multiple national and Big Ten players and coaches of the year, and 8 consecutive years where student athletes graduated at an 89% clip and recorded a GPA of 3.0 or higher. That three-legged stool that you've always talked about and created of win, graduate, and do it right is almost worn out. Gary, you must be very proud of everyone's efforts in and out of the classroom.
No doubt. I mean, one of the things that is so exciting to see, I think those of us that live in Iowa love Iowa, but we know in the Big Ten, for example, every time we line up, it might be against a program with bigger budgets, more recruiting access. So to hear that kind of success academically, athletically, just so proud of our coaches, our student athletes. We have one of our brand things people know about the Hawkeyes. They know we have great fans. They know we have great tradition. And they also know that, we've only had 3 ADs over many years and only a couple of football coaches. And Coach McCaffrey, he's the new kid on the block and he's been here 13 years. That's unusual in and of itself. And Lisa Bluter, longest tenure. Think about this. Kirk's the all-time winningest football coach. Lisa's the all-time winningest women's basketball coach. And Fran's 11 wins away from being the all-time winningest men's basketball coach. And then Coach Brands has been here and, he gets upset when he takes second in the country. And he's won several of those national championships. So, and then, just to keep going, Rick Heller. I remember Rick Hartzell from my UNI days.
You're giving away your UNI lineage there, but that's not a bad comparison.
No,
Rick Hartzell's a pretty good baseball guy too.
No doubt. And Rick Heller was at UNI, but Rick, what he did this past year, he had the most wins in our history, 44 wins, tied for, and goes to the regionals again. Softball, most wins since 2009. So just across the board, all the incredible success athletically. And then you hit on it, really proud of that 89% graduation success rate, 8 straight years of a 3.0 average GPA. So that means 650 student athletes. That's the average. Yes, there might be a couple of people below that and certainly people at the 4.0 level, but the average of 3.0, it's just, that's what I think Iowans expect. That's the culture that when I came here, I knew already existed. And that 3-legged stool, literally, I have it in my office. I'm going to take it home with me. It's just every time if I talk to a faculty member and I say to them, if all you care about is graduating, we're going to fail. But I'll say to a coach or an athlete, if all you care about is winning, we're going to fail. We have to have people who care about all three: win, graduate, and whatever we do it right. And I think most of our athletes, when we recruit them, they've heard of that. They've heard that phrase. I think most of our fans have heard it. So it's served us pretty well.
Gary Barta, the soon-to-be retired University of Iowa athletic director, our guest on this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. We're sponsored by our friends at Iowa Corn, Shields, Athletico, and UIHC. We'll come back and wrap up our visit up with Gary right after this pause.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
We all love a good win. Catching up with friends, saving money at the pump, soaking up the perfect Iowa day, sitting down to a really, really good meal. These are the everyday delights that make us smile. These are the moments that connect us all as Iowans. And these are the wins that, more often than not, start with Iowa's farm families and the crop they're growing. Because when corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Learn more about how to share your own wins at iowacorn.org/IowansWin.
You don't have to go to the game to get a game program. You can download it now by visiting the game day page on HawkeyeSports.com. That's right, the game program is now digital and it's free. So check it out. Get the roster, the stats, and fascinating stories about today's matchup. Just go to HawkeyeSports.com and click on Game Day.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours, the one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Gary Barta is our guest on this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. Gary, during your tenure, you and your administration supervised $380 million in facility upgrades from football to basketball, a new boathouse, golf complex, the Jardine Academic Learning Center, the Wellness Center natatorium, and soon to be world-class, I do mean that seriously, world-class wrestling training facility. Now add in $650 million in private support for athletic scholarships and endowments, operation facilities. I mean, that's over $1 billion in keeping Iowa athletics viable and competitive at an athletic and academic championship level. That type organization ranks right up there with the Fortune 500. The follow-through, though, and the stability of not only you, but your staff of 17 years, across 17 years, and navigating COVID-19 and still producing these numbers has really been remarkable.
Thanks for summing that all up, Dolphin. You know, when you're in the moment, you don't think about it and you just keep trying to push forward. I've now been here long enough. So I'm on multiple renovations of Kinnick Stadium. I'm on multiple renovations of the Jardine Learning Center. And but one of the things that's allowed that is, I say it all the time, Hawkeye fans are the best. To raise $650 million over 17 years, yes, we've had great staff and working hard at it, but we have incredible support from the Hawkeye fan base and our Hawkeye donors to say yes to that. We try to earn their confidence. And it helps us keep pace with the bigger programs. I'm very proud of that whole Kinnick renovation, whether it was the west side and now the north end zone. And you mentioned, as people drive by, they're seeing the best wrestling facility, training facility in the world. That was Tom's goal, and that's what it's going to be. We have some other things coming. We have a gymnastics training center that we'll be breaking ground on late this fall. We've got we talked about Rick Heller. We've raised $20 million for a new baseball stadium that we're going to get ready to get started on, thanks to a lot of support. Carver Hawkeye Arena, we did incredible renovations to create the practice space and all the new office space. Now we're getting ready to do some things in the actual fan experience and do some things. So it's never ending. The football training facility is among the best in the country. And all of that we're very proud of. It's taken a lot of people involved, but our donors they just keep stepping up to the plate.
Gary Barta, you, like every other athletic director in America, has been faced, especially over 17 years, with some challenges and pitfalls, whether it be budget, replacing coaches, court decisions, budget-wise, removing a couple sports, bringing one back. I know that some days have been more challenging than others, but big picture, if you have a regret or regrets, what would they be? What didn't you accomplish that you would have hoped to have accomplished?
Yeah, I've thought about that over the years, and certainly more now as I'm getting closer to wrapping up 17 years. My honest answer, and I hope this comes across the right way, I don't have any regrets. Every time we make a decision, you try to gather the information, you try to get information from all sides. Most of the decisions that I've made, it involved the president, the big decisions involves the president, general counsel. So I don't have any regrets. There's certainly things that didn't turn out maybe the way we had wanted them to, but with the information we had at the time, I think we made the best decision. You want to keep going forward now after 17 years. Yes, there were areas where you think, well, if we'd have done this a little different or that a little different, but the results over 17 years have really turned out the way we had hoped. The great success on the field, the court, etc., the great success in the classroom, The fact that we have people here who do it the right way. I really don't have any regrets. Certainly, I'm not saying I'm perfect, and there were things we might have done a little differently, but really, really pleased with the outcome. The goal, though, is to win every time and to graduate every student athlete. Of course, that's impossible, but we just keep getting closer and closer to achieving both of those. And really, really proud. So many people I've worked with that have been here for a long, long time. That's unusual in our profession. So the fact that so many staff and so many coaches stay here, and this is a destination opportunity, including for myself, it's a special place. Hawkeye fans know that. It was special before I got here. It's going to be special a long time after I leave, but I was grateful for the 17 years to be a part of that special opportunity of being a Hawkeye.
No regrets, but I know you have some heartburn. So immediate and long-term, looking down the road, whether you're an armchair quarterback or working somewhere else in the near future, which I hope you are, what upsets you? What gives you heartburn about NIL and the transfer portal?
Yeah, it's not so much the heartburn is, what's the end result? I think we've talked a lot about some of the changes that are occurring are really positive for student athletes, for college athletics. But the moment that two separate things occurred, name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal actually occurred separately. I think sometimes people assume they happened at the same time intentionally. That's not the case. Two things that were going on and they collided, and the combination of those two at the same time have really created problems. You have free agency without any rules. And so at the end of the day, some of the transfer rules are positive. No longer does a student athlete have to get permission to transfer. No longer do they have to sit out a year. They get a one-time opportunity to not have to sit out. Those were good changes. The NIL, the opportunity for pick a student athlete, Chris Murray or Caitlin Clark or Spencer Lee, and go all the way through our roster in all sports. No longer are you prohibited from earning from your own name, image, and likeness. Those are good things. We want to keep finding a way to refine those, but we've got to have national rules that are the same for everybody, not 35 different state laws that, where there's no competitive understanding of one set of rules. And we do have to close the loophole of having untethered transfers along with NIL, because it leads to illegal recruiting. So do I believe we're going to get it fixed? Absolutely. Our country cares too much about college athletics in the U.S. for it to fail. But along the way, it's been bumpy, and it's been challenging. Our coaches on the front line, it's been challenging. But it'll find its way. Probably in the next 2 or 3 years would be my anticipation. I like our new NCAA president. I think he's making some great progress and statements. I like our new commissioner. I think Tony Petitti at the Big Ten is really doing some great things. So we'll get there.
I have so much respect for you in that you chaired the College Football Playoff Committee for 2 years. How many teams should be in for, say, the next decade? Slam the door, and then let's look at it 10 years down the road. What's your number? What's your Gary Barta's best number?
Well, we looked at 4 was not enough, in my opinion. That's just one person's opinion. We looked at 8, we looked at 12, we looked at 16. I'm not saying this just because the landing spot is going to be 12. I actually think 12 is a good spot. I think it allows for a combination of some automatic qualifiers that, if you win your conference, you're going to have that spot, along with some at large. It'll give the committee a lot of opportunity to put together some great matchups. The downside, I guess, when there was 4, there was probably about 6 or 8 teams who thought they should be in it. With 12 exponentially now, there's going to probably be 20 or 30 teams that think they deserve to be in it. So, but that will be good for ESPN or Fox or whoever has the contract, or maybe both of them. That'll be good television opportunity to play that out. And it'll be great for our country. So I think 12 is a good spot. Let's try it at that level, which right now is the plan, and then give that maybe 10 years or so, and see if that lands in a nice spot. creates great opportunity. And then as we're watching, is that going to change the way football schedules occur? Look at Iowa. We've in the Big Ten, we play 9 conference games. That means Iowa and all Big Ten schools have 3 other conference games that they can schedule. You want to figure out what's the right balance there. At Iowa, it's always been Iowa State, and you've heard me, you and I, Dolph, we've talked about this. Kirk, as long as I am going to be here, was going to be here, I support that Iowa State rivalry. I still think it can exist. I really do. But maybe down the road it'll be determined that not if we're going to have 9 or 10 Big Ten games, maybe someday that's in jeopardy. Right now, I don't think it is. I think it's in a good spot, and both Jamie Pollard and I have agreed over the years that it's great for our state. So I can't wait to watch college football continue to evolve. And there's another spot that if I can, whether it's name, image, and likeness, or it's conference or national or college football, I'd love to find a spot where I can continue to try to make a difference in some way.
Gary Barta leaves Iowa, having served the 5th longest athletic director stint from a Power 5 school, trailing only Joe Castiglione at Oklahoma, Kentucky's Mitch Barnhart, Gene Smith at Ohio State, and Iowa State's Jamie Pollard. More Fight for Iowa in a minute.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
Knowing that I can make a difference in my patients' lives keeps me motivated every single day. Hi, I'm Dr. Kanya Ferguson at University of Iowa Healthcare. With academic medicine, we see the toughest cases, so we're always innovating. And we bring the best minds together to collaborate, so there's more brain power focused on you. Because that leads to exceptional care for our patients and our community. See how at uihc.org.
Hey, Hawkeyes fans, the wait is over. The Iowa men's and women's basketball teams are back on the court, and Shields has everything you need to cheer on your favorite players all season long. Take your game day gear to the next level with Shields Fan Shop. We have an unmatched lineup of gear, including jerseys, hats, hoodies, and more to help you show off your team colors. So gear up, Hawkeyes fans, and celebrate all season with Shields, a proud partner of Iowa basketball and hoops fans everywhere.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
The month of June for Iowa football saw players return to campus and start their individual conditioning and weight training program. Jay Higgins is about the only linebacker left standing in that position group with the label veteran. The senior from Indianapolis looks forward to teaming up with grad transfer Nick Jackson out of Virginia, Carson Sherrar, Kyler Fisher, and others in filling the void left by Jack Campbell and Seth Benson. For right now, this is the best time of the year.
A lot of guys just work out, watch tape after, and that's been good for the linebacker room. A lot of young guys in the room, so work out once in the morning, come back, do yoga, watch some tape, just get closer to each other. And I feel like the summer really offers a lot of time to, guys aren't going to class, the schedule's not as busy, so more opportunity to be a kid than any other time of the year. Coach Ray brings in yoga like every Wednesday, so today at 4 o'clock. They offer it in the spring semester, but my class schedule is pretty busy, so I usually take advantage of it in the summer.
Miami, Ohio grad transfer Rusty Feth missed spring practice because he wanted to graduate with his class in May. Feth, a burly 6'3", 310-pound guard center, started 34 games at Miami, including 25 in a row at center. He projects to be a guard at Iowa. He's not worried about getting up to speed, though. Feth is a former first-team All-MAC performer and was recruited by current Hawkeye offensive line coach George Barnett. Barnett is the main reason Feth found his way to Iowa City.
It wasn't the only thing, but it was definitely, a big part of it. Just I'm familiar with him, familiar with how great of a man he is. So he cares about the person before the player. He cares about you as a person over just how good of a player you are. So I think by him having that trust in you as a person and vice versa, that's how he gets the most out of his guys. I kind of knew if I got the opportunity to come here that I was probably going to take it, yeah. I'm just, so grateful to have this opportunity to come, play for Iowa. They obviously gave me the opportunity, had the opportunity for me to come in and play. So this is my last year, so I have to make the most out of it because this is all I get in college. So I do have that dream of playing in the NFL. So got to make the most out of this first.
Another newcomer, Michigan transfer, quarterback Cade McNamara, has every Hawkeye fan buzzing and every teammate excited to play alongside. McNamara took most of the receiver group to California with him this spring to work with his longtime quarterback coach Jordan Palmer. McNamara, who led the Wolverines to the Big Ten title victory over the Hawkeyes in 2021, suffered a leg injury last season, then lost his job to J.J. McCarthy. He's 100% healthy and loves having the green light.
It feels great. I mean, it's such a relief. It's been a long time. I mean, there's been some struggles. Where it was last season compared to just getting here and still not being able to participate in everything. But for me to finally, be able to let it loose and, just really test my body now that we're in a strong strength and conditioning program, I feel great. Other than going to California, I stayed around with a couple of guys in May, and I just continued to rehab just because I knew I was so close. And once we got back, we started sprinting and started conditioning and everything, and I was good to go for all of it. Yeah, and really kind of the very last part of my process as far as getting back to 100% was change of direction. So being able to get back with the guys, do some change of direction stuff, put my foot in the ground in a competitive setting, that was really the last thing. And, I'm still getting comfortable with that as well, but I could easily just go put my foot in the ground now and I feel very confident in my leg.
McNamara and the Hawkeyes host Utah State in this season's opener Labor Day weekend in Kinnick Stadium. Another prestigious honor and therefore another congratulatory salute to Iowa's All-American basketball wizard Caitlin Clark. Clark received the Honda Cup, awarded annually to the top women's collegiate athlete covering a dozen sports. Clark received the award in Los Angeles this past week. The junior became the first Division I player to score over 1,000 points with 300 assists in the same season. Other finalists were Texas senior volleyball player Logan Eggleston and Stanford sophomore golfer Rose Zhang. Congratulations, Caitlin. I'm Gary Dolphin. That's this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. Go Hawks.
You've been listening to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeyes Voice podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game day content, and more. Until next time, on Iowa and go Hawks! The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.